Today on the channel, we are back talking about Soul Eater after 8 months. Jesus Christ, my bad, y'all. To give a bit of an explanation as to why I stopped making videos on Soul Eater, I just felt that a lot of my videos were becoming very samey, and the same thing goes for Fire Force. I also wanted to experiment more with different series and other types of videos, so I decided to step back on Soul Eater and Fire Force content, but now we're back at it. Today I will be identifying and explaining all 8 races in Soul Eater, including their known origins and abilities. Before we get started, it'd be great if you liked the video for the algorithm and subscribe for more Soul Eater content here on the channel. Starting off with the one I know the least about, we have Werewolves. Given that only a single werewolf exists in the series, we know pretty much nothing about their origins. Actually, we just know nothing. They possess characteristics of humans, but can shapeshift into their werewolf forms at will. They have great strength, speed, and durability, as well as enhanced animalistic senses, and are also completely immortal. And this is total immortality, not just unaging or unkillable, but completely immortal. Werewolves are also able to use the abilities of other species by obtaining one of their body parts. For example, Free is able to use witch magic since he has the demon eye that he obtained from the witch Maba. Monsters aren't necessarily a race, but more of a category where miscellaneous beings are placed in. Monsters can vary greatly depending on their species. For example, Blair the Magical Cat and Mosquito are both considered to be monsters but have no overlapping characteristics besides the power of transformation. I'd even say it's fair to consider werewolves to be a part of the monster species. Our representatives for the monster species in Soul Eater are Blair, a cat with a great amount of magical power and the ability to shift between her cat and human forms at will, and Mosquito, who is a bloodsucker. Bloodsuckers seem to have extremely long lifespans and have the ability to become themselves from any point in their past, as well as suck the blood of others to regenerate. So basically there's vampires in Soul Eater. The clowns are a very interesting group of individuals, as there are 2 separate types. The first being the natural clowns. These are born straight from the Kishin Asura's madness wavelength and are the physical form of fear itself. As creations of Asura, their purpose is to spread his madness, so they all share the same wavelength as Asura. Having the madness of fear wavelength allows the clowns to infect people with madness and pull them into illusions of their worst fears. The clowns can also use madness fusion, which lets multiple clowns fuse themselves together into a single, more powerful being. Additionally, the clowns can regenerate infinitely as long as they're connected to Asura's madness wavelength. But techniques capable of severing that connection, such as Soul Protect, the Anti-Demon wavelength, or the Madness of Order wavelength, can end the clowns for good. The second type of clown are the man-made variant. These clowns share the same ability as natural clowns, but they possess black blood, increasing their durability. However, their madness wavelengths aren't as strong as that of a natural clown. Sorcerers are a weird bunch. They're something like a counterpart to witches in the series, and thus have the ability to utilize magic, although they don't practice it, unlike the witches, and instead use it through unknown means. They also have extremely long lifespans, similar to witches, with the oldest known sorcerer being over 800 years old. There are a total of 9 known sorcerers in Soul Eater, one only appearing once by name, one being Abon, and the other 7 being different variants of the same guy. Starting from the top down, I guess, we have Rene Descartes, I didn't say that correctly, a sorcerer only mentioned by name. It's said that Rene specialized in calculation magic, which would be passed down to the witches over time. Then there's Abon, and he's an entire bag that I don't want to fully dive into since he isn't the focus of this video, but the most important thing of note here is that Abon created the Book of Abon, and created by the Book of Abon are the 7 icons. The icons are the personifications of the 7 deadly sins created within the Book of Abon that take the shape of humanoid sorcerers, all named Noah. Like with Abon, Noah has an entire bag that would take us completely off topic from the video, but let me know in the comments if you guys would be interested in seeing a video about him in the future. Witches are one of the most dominant and prevalent antagonistic forces throughout the series, as well as one of the oldest. The origin of witches stems so far back that it takes us to an entirely different series. The first witch known in history is none other than Inca Kasakatani from Fire Force. While the specifics are unknown, we do know that after the end of Fire Force, she went on to eventually create what would become the Witch Order. Witches are destructive by nature due to the effect that magic has on them. The pure amount of power that magic itself possesses is almost limitless, and when one utilizes a power that great, it will always lead to destruction of any kind. In a special case like Kim, her magic is non-destructive by nature, and thus she isn't influenced by the pool of magic. I like to think that this entire concept is what formed Inca's danger-seeking personality in Fire Force, so it loops back around to the trait that is what leads to the pool of magic. Well, that's just a theory. A game theory. It should also be noted that the entire witch population is female, or at least all of the known ones are. It's possible for witches to reproduce with humans, and there is a chance that their offspring is entirely human, such as the case with Medusa's child Krona. A common trait within witch kind is that most of their abilities and appearances are themed around different animals. Medusa is a snake witch, Arachne is a spider witch, and so on and so forth. Within the world of Soul Eater, witches are frowned upon by pretty much everyone. This is mainly due to their feud with the Grim Reapers, as their destructive nature goes against the Reapers' objective of maintaining balance in the world. This has caused the two sides to be at each other's necks for over 800 years, and since the Grim Reapers rule over humanity, they're looked down upon by them as well. However, due to the efforts of Death the Kid, witchkind and humankind have been reunited by the end of the series. The origin of demon weapons can also be tracked all the way back to the end of Fire Force. To put a medium-length story short, Arthur loved his sword Excalibur so much that it spawned a soul and gained the ability to shift between an actual sword and a living, being creature. But Excalibur himself didn't start the weapon race. About 800 years before the beginning of the story, Lord Death and Abon sought a way to fight evenly with the witches and their destructive magic. Inspired by Excalibur and his ability to shift between human in quotations and a weapon, they both decided to create the demon weapons. However, during experimentation, they discovered that creating a demon weapon would require a witch soul. The project was then deemed to be inhuman, and the instructions for creating demon weapons were then concealed. Unbeknownst to Death and Abon, the witch Arachne had been viewing the two through her tracking spiders and had known the means to create demon weapons. So then she took an inanimate object, a human soul, and one of her fellow witches' souls, and combined them, thus starting the demon weapon race and earning her the title of Heretic Witch. Over time, more and more demon weapons were born, and in the present day, they're completely integrated into society, most likely due to the DWMA's existence. On an appearance level, demon weapons are no different from humans, even having human souls, but they have the ability to transform into a plethora of different weapons depending on the person. There are gun-type weapons, sword types, scythe types, and many more. An outlier to the entire demon weapon race is Black Star's weapon partner, Tsubaki Nakatsukasa. The Nakatsukasa family are direct descendants of the weapons created by Arachne. Tsubaki has the ability to take multiple weapon forms, making her one of the strongest weapons in the series. The gene that makes a person a demon weapon can skip generations. For example, Spirit, Maka's dad, is a demon weapon, but Maka herself is just a normal human. By looking at the twin demon pistols, Liz and Patty, it can also be assumed that some families just have a natural affinity for a specific weapon. Despite Liz and Patty being like 3 years apart in age, not only do they both possess the demon weapon gene, but they are in fact the same exact weapon. Due to the nature of their creation, demon weapons are born as incomplete beings, as they require 99 evil human souls and 1 witch soul to become complete. They can still function perfectly fine as both a human and a weapon without them, but collecting the souls brings them to an entirely different level as a weapon. After completing the prerequisites, a weapon gains the title of Death's Weapon or Death Scythe. Becoming a Death Scythe not only increases one's overall power, but it also gives them unique magic-like abilities due to the consumption of a witch's soul. The very concept of a weapon suggests that someone has to use it for it to be effective, and in 99% of cases that's true. Most weapons we see have Meisters, but in 2 cases there have been completely self-sufficient weapons. One being Justin Law, the demon guillotine who became a Death Scythe without a Meister, and the other being Giriko, the demon chainsaw capable of fighting alone. In special cases, certain weapons have been able to wield weapons themselves. Liz and Patty are capable of using each other due to their bond as sisters. Excalibur is able to be used by anyone willing to put up with his bullshit for long enough, and Killick's weapons, Pot of Thunder and Pot of Fire, were able to briefly use Liz and Patty and their shaman forms. And finally, the super exception to most things I just said, Ragnarok. Ragnarok was originally a normal demon weapon, but was melted down into black blood, giving him the ability to exist within his Meister's body. This category was originally going to be humans, but it's honestly more of a classification since both werewolves and demon weapons could be considered human, so I just changed it to Meister even though that could also be considered a subcategory of human, but I'm done trying to make it make absolute sense. The main thing that separates Meisters from regular humans is their ability to utilize their soul wavelengths and use demon weapons. The typing for each Meister depends on what type of weapon their partner is. For example, Maka is a Scythe Meister, Kid is a Gun Meister, and so on and so forth. There's not much else to say about Meisters without getting into the power system itself, which I already have a video for. It should be popping up in the top right corner. Also, there's a Meister that's an ape. It's not important to the grand scheme of things, but bro's chill, so he deserves a shout out. I also want to very briefly talk about humans with strong souls so Mifune doesn't get erased from existence. People with strong souls originate from the end of Fire Force, where after ignition abilities were taken away, people with strong souls were given abilities rivaling their old ones, and Mifune is the last existing descendant of those people. A strong soul gives a person a great deal of strength since their soul is equal to about 99 regular ones. And finally, reaching the final race, we have the Grim Reapers. Much like with Meisters, everything I could say here has already been said in at least 2 other videos on my channel, so I recommend those since they go far deeper into the subject than what belongs in this video, so I'll keep it very brief. The origin of Grim Reapers can be found at the end of Fire Force, but more specifically they originate from none other than Shinra Kusakabe himself. After recreating the world, Shinra created a being to rule over Death, that being Lord Death, and after a long period of time, Death created 2 sons, Asura, and then later Death the Kid. Reapers are effectively the gods of the world and rule over humanity with the ultimate goal of keeping the planet in balance. Without diving into Reaper mechanics too much, they're born physically superior to pretty much everyone, not only in stats like strength or speed, but in their immunity to poisons and other ailments. Reapers have different stages depending on how far in their development they are, represented by the lines of Sanzu in their hair. From least mature to most, the stages go Immature Reaper, Mature Reaper, and True Reapers. True Grim Reapers are immortal and possess the strongest power in the series with the Madness of Order wavelength, a power capable of enslaving the entire planet by overriding human emotion. Again, everything here is explained much better in videos like my Soul Eater Power System explained video, as well as my Death the Kid explained video, so go check those out if you enjoyed this one. Thanks for watching, and that's it for this one.
Lately I'm feeling so cool. Yeah, come and get a taste of the hip soul food. Spice up the animal when neo haiku. While soul goes to school, way slash kung fu.